to be talking about the best programming languages for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. So, why would an entrepreneur or solopreneur need to learn how to write software? And quite basically, it's because there are a lot of people that know how to program. And there are a ton of people that own businesses or start businesses or think that they're an expert. The people that can do both are very few and far between. Now, the reason that's important is software allows you to do uh, processes, business processes, very quickly and very efficiently. So you can write something one time and take advantage of it for years. I mean, I've got some programs that I've had running for years that I, quite frankly, never touch anymore, and they've been making me money for years. So when you're an entrepreneur, when it breaks down to is what you're really good at is finding holes and problems and fixing them. You can do the exact same thing using software and using programs. Outside of being able to solve your own problems, like doing data analytics, I've written programs using Jupyter notebooks that allow me to look at my own sales and to break them down in a way that you're just not able to do in any other way. Think of it as like um, Microsoft Excel on steroids, that you can literally make the data dance and figure out all kind of things in the back end of your own system. But where it's really come in useful is writing my own e-commerce program, because unlike a Shopify or Magento, or even some of the more powerful, WordPress programs like WooCommerce, when you write your own program, you can actually build your business processes into the program itself. Now, this is a rather large program, and it took me a long time to do, but to be able to have one system that puts the product out to your customers, processes the sales, records the sales, allows you to ship the product, and look at the data analytics in one program is just unbelievable. And it's taken my workload down to multiple hours a day of keeping track of inventory, making sure the sales are good, make sure we don't run out of things. And it's brought that down to like 2 hours a day, because I put the work in on the front end. And now all I do is just kind of maintain the process. So since we're kind of going into why that's important and how, you know, um, we really need to kind of work on how you as an entrepreneur can get to a level of programming where you're useful without becoming a full blast, programmer, and all the years and issues that come into that. Um, I've programmed in a lot of languages. I think I've tried just about every major one, from crypto languages all the way down to some low end, Java, C, C++. I think I've pretty well got a gamut of them, and I'm wide ranging enough as an entrepreneur that I've got my toes in a lot of things. So I'm more like a programming generalist. Like, I can't do anything really well, but I can do a lot of things, using code. Probably not the best at it, but it gets the job done, and you know, I can make it work. So this is what I've come down to. The three primary languages that we're going to talk about today are JavaScript, Python, and Go. They all do different things. The way I did it personally was I started out with Python because I wanted to be able to write my own websites and web applications to be able to process sales. And I ended up doing that. My e-commerce site presently runs on Python through the Django um, framework for web applications. And we process, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars through that, and it's had its challenges. I've had to go back and redo a few things because I'm just not a strong programmer. And you don't have to be either. You don't have to be an expert to make things work. Good enough sometimes is good enough. So there's a way that I did it, and I've learned along the way. I wish I would have done some things different, and that's what I was going to cover today. So, one of the big ones that I wish I would have done is learn JavaScript first. So, learning JavaScript is the language that the web runs on. So when you've got a website that does pretty things and it's real fast and it flows through, different web pages and it's very seamless, that's all JavaScript. So JavaScript is kind of magical in that you can do the front end, the back end, and almost all of your coding using just JavaScript. It's not the best language in the world out there. It's certainly not the fastest, and it's got a few little quirks in it which makes it a little hard to understand. Personally, I don't really like writing JavaScript, but probably that's because I started writing in Python. So, but what it does is it allows you to build these very powerful web applications, and you can serve hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people using just JavaScript. And you can learn how to make, the prettiest website you've ever seen, and you can update it in real time. So you don't have to pay, $100 an hour to some dude that's in his mom's basement, eating, hot pockets, to be able to do this. As a entrepreneur, you know how your business is supposed to run. And to be able to tell another person that in a way that they can program around it and to give you what you want is very difficult. Like, it just takes weeks and weeks and weeks of iteration, where if you just knew how to code, you could do it yourself. So how do you learn how to use JavaScript? How long is this going to take? What resources are you going to have to use? What's the realistic expectation of your return of your time? So realistically, you could go to Free Code Camp. I'll put all this in the description. You can go to Free Code Camp and learn how to use JavaScript absolutely for free. You can get a working knowledge of it within, from a couple days of hard effort down to a couple weeks doing it part time. You're not going to learn everything. You don't need to. You don't need to learn the big concepts. You just need to learn how to make a website do what you need to do. And by doing that, you're going to learn the basics of how the language works. Now, can you do some of the big data analytics stuff using JavaScript? Yes, you can. Is it as powerful as Python? Not really. But it's all in what you need and what you want to do. What you doing, buddy? Okay, I'm just standing there. Yep, good to see you too. Anyway, JavaScript's very powerful. It's very readable, and it's almost as easy to learn as Python is. So if you had to pick one language only, I would say probably go with JavaScript if you have more of a web focus. And what I mean by that is, because it's almost impossible to do some major web design without knowing JavaScript. If anything that you're involving is e-commerce or front-facing websites, and it's anything that's kind of designed on that side, you probably need to go with JavaScript. Um, like I said, the best place to go to learn that would probably be Free Code Camp. Um, it's free. The certification is actually known in the industry. If you ever did want to go work for anyone else, having a Free Code Camp, certification would certainly be useful. There's also a Udemy program taught by Angela Yu. Believe she's with um, Code Foundry, I think it is, over in Britain. She's one of their instructors. Used to be a medical doctor. Absolutely brilliant, wonderful instructor. I could wholly recommend any of her courses. She teaches Python and JavaScript mainly, but her JavaScript courses, you can really tell that's where she shines. So definitely learn those. Moving to the next language of Python, that's where I started. Python is the Swiss Army knife of languages. I mean, you can do absolutely anything with it. You can build web designs, you can do AI, you can work in machine learning. Some crypto stuff runs on Python. I've used it for a ton of data analytics, of actually taking like previous sales and figuring out the trends. Very easy to do. Even if you had something as simple as like wanting to replace Excel, that's something that Python can do very easily. If you are impressed of what Excel can do, you would be absolutely amazed what you could do with Python using the Pandas library. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. The data analytics that you can do, the things you can put together. Very easy language to learn. I mean, just within a couple of days, you could knock that out. Best places to learn Python is the CS50 course from Harvard. You can get through edX. You can audit the course for free, or you can get certified for about $500. Absolutely fantastic. It's a good generalized course to learn how programming works in general. If you're wanting to really learn how programming works in a nutshell, Python's probably a really good place to start. Um, Another Udemy course that I've run through is Jose Pordilla in Udemy. He has a Python bootcamp, which is absolutely phenomenal. It costs like $20. It's probably 30 or 35 hours of material. Really breaks down how to use the language, how to use its strengths and weaknesses, how to go through with it. Um, Python's what I built my e-commerce system on, and if you've got anywhere between 5 and 7 thousand a day hitting your website to buy things, Python is absolutely fine. You're not going to have any latency issues. You can maintain your own website yourself. You can update it daily. I do. I'm on that thing every day, updating the language, updating how it works, really working out how the system works, so it doesn't look like just some template site that somebody put some stuff on. Um, One of the key things with being an entrepreneur, especially in e-commerce, is making your system look different than everyone else. Because everyone, when they go to a website, they just look at it and say, "Oh, this just looks like everything else," But the trick is to make it so functional that you can tell that this is not just some template site that somebody put together in their garage. Even though I, built the old program in this room, which is in my house, um, using that language, you can put a system in place that makes you money literally every day. And the beauty of programming is that if you were let off, in a random town in the US and you had $500 in your pocket and a laptop, if you know how to code, you could make money that night. You absolutely can, using no capital. Most of the things that you run across in programming are either free or close to free, or have a huge month or 2 month long trial period, and you could absolutely make an entire career in a month, if you know how to code, if you have the skills. And learning the skills is as close to free as you can get. A lot of the resources I'm giving you today and will be in the description are free, or 20-30 bucks, or 20 bucks a month at the most for some of them. Absolutely phenomenal. Probably the greatest opportunity out there for entrepreneurs right now is in the coding space. Because, and I'd mentioned it before, those that know how to code have no idea how business works. I mean, to the point of being uh, completely impotent. And a lot of the people who know business and can really make it shine have no idea how code works. So if you know both, even if you just have an idea how code works and know the capabilities and what you can do with it, you are so head and tails above everybody else that it's just amazing. Like, for if you get nothing else from this video, pick a language. I don't care what it is, learn it. Just learn it. Just by learning any language, you'll know what you can do with software and what you can't. And it's going to open up so many opportunities for you as an entrepreneur that you can build entire, you know, ecosystems by yourself, just absolutely by yourself. Coding always takes time. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's absolutely, essential. Which goes into the next thing is when you get started and when you get moving and you've built this little empire, and you want to move to the next thing that you are pretty sure is going to be, bigger. Like, for example, my e-commerce solution. I own a firearms factory in the real world. We make our own parts. We put those parts out for sale. We send them to dealers. All straight up and legal, and everything's fine. But one of the tricks of it is that I'm using that software that I built for myself, solving my own problem, and I'm building that into another company doing what's called software as a service, or a SaaS company. Um, because I expect that the scale of the operation to be so much bigger, because I'll be dealing with multiple clients and all of their clients and all of their clients. So, that because I expect it to be so much bigger, Python may not have been appropriate. Or it might have been appropriate at first, but then later down the road, I would be hitting some language limitations in the amount of people that are on it at any time. And since I need so many people to run the program at one time, we need something called concurrency. Concurrency means programs that can run basically next to each other at the same time without slowing things down. So that goes into a lower level language. And after looking at all of them, the lower level, the Javas and the C's and C plus and or C plus plus and Rust, I finally settled on a language that was created by Google called Go. And Go, like I said, created by Google, made by some of the brightest minds in programming that there has ever been. Um, Extremely easy to learn. Actually, the syntax is easier than Python. It's way less to learn. The problem with Go for an inexperienced programmer is not learning the language, it's learning how to use it. Because there's concepts that you have to understand in how data is structured, how it's presented, how the web works. The problem with Go is not understanding Go. The problem with Go is understanding how to program and the concepts behind programming and how to do memory management and how to do safety, because JavaScript and Python do these same concepts, but they do it in the background. You never see them. So where you would put like a Python dictionary out, that handles language with a key and a value. With Go, you have to do it all by hand. You have to explicitly tell the computer what you want. And while that makes the program much faster and much easier to deal with concurrency and to deal with way more people safely and quickly, it makes it a little harder to learn. That being said, it's not so difficult that you can't pick it up. I just wouldn't do it as a first language, so I would definitely learn Python and JavaScript first. And then when you understand the concepts of how data is manipulated in those languages, then I would move into something like a Go. So when you move to Go, I think the best place that I've run across to learn it is a place called boot.dev. The guy that created it is named Lane. Super nice guy. Talked to him the other day. When I was going through some concepts, told him what I'd done and how everything was kind of working. Super approachable. I think it's $30 a month or something, and he will also teach you how to do Python and JavaScript in his own course, offering that he does at boot.dev. Well worth the money. Well worth it. Even if you're doing this for your children, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Um, but the thing with Go is scale. If you're dealing with something with scale and people and processes and handling a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts, definitely go with a low level language. If you're dealing with just customers and a very simple approach, even if it's rather large, you're probably going to be absolutely fine going with a JavaScript or Python. So there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. Everybody's different. I've tried to, spread load out, the best way to learn some of these languages between free and paid and online tutorials and ones where you're a little more active. But what it boils down to is you need to learn one language or at least understand how it works. Because if you do, you're going to be so much more marketable than those around you. From what I can tell, maybe one entrepreneur out of 75 to 100, maybe, if that's even, and that's in the e-commerce space, knows how to code. When you're talking about entrepreneurs in general, you're talking about maybe one person in 1,000 or 500, that knows how to code. So just in terms of scale, learning a language is going to be so much better for you. So I'm going to put a lot of these assets that I've used, and I've used literally every one of them. Every one of them. This is not something I'm just throwing out there. These are not affiliate links. These are ones I've used, the ones that I can personally recommend. So it's I think that if you want to take the next step in your entrepreneurship journey, you need to at least give a look at software programming. So, good luck. Hope it works out for you. If not, hit me in a comment or just, find me on startupspinup.com. I'm usually around one way or another. And we'll get through this together. And it's been nice talking to you.